Anything less than true can change. So we can all relax now. Anything less than true can change. Isn't that a nice thought? I was so relieved. I think it's A Course of Miracles that says, only truth is true. When I first heard that, it's the silliest statement. But I was so relieved. Because I thought that means anything that's not truth, well, isn't true. So I could just discern from there. And so I don't have to worry over the stuff that isn't true. I thought I had to worry about everything. Yeah, and that was my old plan. I'll just worry about it all because I have to fix it and take care of it. And I'm getting a little irritated that it's all up to me. That my goodness, this world gets heavy. And when I found out that only truth is true, I didn't have to worry about nearly as much anymore. In fact, what it came down to was I don't have to worry about anything. And it's like, that's confusing to the ego. You don't have to worry about anything now. Nothing. Any worry you have is a choice. It is a choice, not an obligation. So that anything I worry about is a choice, not an obligation. Let's say that together. Anything I worry about is a choice, not an obligation. Now, who here is uncomfortable with that thought? No. We thought we were obligated to worry, that somehow worry was virtuous. That somehow worry, what, I'm going to take the burden off of God? God does not require any of us to worry, not about money, not about our body, not about, as we have been told, the flowers and the trees. Not to worry. It's one thing to steward. It's another thing to worry. I have seen some of the most virtuous people who really, they love our planet, they love helping others, and they sit in fury at the ones who don't. And so they miss out on the gift of giving because they're so mad at the ones who don't care. What is that to you? Just be the one who is grateful that it's your job to give what's your job to give. It is not your job to be angry. Anything less than true can change. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been upset about something that you're no longer upset about?
Yes.
There we go. So obviously the thing you were upset about wasn't true. It was a temporary condition based on a temporary thought. How lovely. See, this is simple, practical spirituality. Very simple, practical spirituality. So that I can remind myself in those times when I'm really upset. Driving is the time I can really use to get a good steam going. And because I'm alone in the car except for all those people I'm driving around that I've crammed into my car to think about. And to voice my grievances towards. But I've got a technique which says, Shawn, do you want to be right about this? I interrupt those thoughts with, do you want, because I know the truth. I know the truth that God is good all the time. I know the truth that as God is for me, nothing and no one could ever be against me. And so, if there is the impression that someone is working against me, it can't be true. It has to be that they're all working for me. Now, that's confusing. But it seems like they're trying to get me fired. They're trying to take away all my money. They're trying to get in the way of my relationship. They're trying to to starve me. Whatever it might be that in the crazy head that says these things are happening. But it can't be true because God is for me. And because God is for me, nothing. Now that's the truth. That will never change. It will never change that God is for us. That is an inherent truth. So, if that is the case, just like God is love, God isn't nice. There's a difference. God is love. That's never going to change. And so one would say, well, if God is love, how is it I can experience these things that I call bad? Well, let me tell you, that's the love that I'm currently experiencing. The love is in that form. If I want it different, I have to rethink it. Why? Because there is a law of cause and effect, which states that thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. So if I am seeing this in front of me, I must be thinking it. It has no power to make me think this. It has no power. There's another wonderful Course in Miracles, I can't remember which lesson number it is, but that says, I see only the past. And so, I see this in front of me. I'm going to go into my past somewhere to look for a meaning for it. And if I have a, we'll say less than positive, meaning for it, that's what I'm going to label it. I'm going to say this is bad, and therefore I ought to think this way about it. But when I came into New Thought, I kept hearing, no, Shawn, if you want to experience peace, if you want to experience joy, the wisdom that God is, you're going to have to put aside your past definitions, and you're going to have to go to God for a new definition. You're going to have to go to truth for a new definition. You can't afford the old definition, Shawn. You are too poor right now to have a meaning of lack about this. I think I said this about a month ago. Who here has enough money to be poor right now? Yeah, most of us do not have enough cash lying around to be poor. So therefore, we can't afford poor thoughts. We can't afford to be walking around and say, I can't afford that. I'm too poor. I don't have enough money. There's not enough money for those poor people out there. You know, we can't afford that. Most of us don't have enough extra cash right now. So therefore, we need rich thoughts. We need abundant thoughts. We need true thoughts. And so if you keep it simple, okay, as God is for me, nothing is against me. There's an affirmation, there's a denial. That's a full prayer. In unity, teaching of prayer, that is deny, affirm. Affirm, deny, either way. But affirm boldly, deny softly. Because you don't want to empower the very thing you're trying to release, to cast out, as it were. And so, as God is for me, nothing is against me. So now we have to start going down our lives. As God is for me, nothing could be against me. Nothing, but this happened. They hit me, they kicked me, they robbed me, they looked at me mean. It could be anything, you know. And they were late, they were early, they were irritable. The government did this. Oh, Adam and Eve. Doggone Adam and Eve, if they hadn't fouled this thing up, we'd all be happy, wouldn't we? And, you know, we'll go all the way, but we'll find anything and anyone to blame, to make the cause of why I'm thinking this way. And it's not even feeling this way, it's thinking this way. And it's the thoughts that lead to the feelings. You know, as I've said so many times, we label these thoughts, these feelings, things, because we don't know how to spell. That's the feeling. But I don't know how to spell that. So I'll call it bad, I'll call it embarrassing, I'll call it infuriating, I'll call it these other things, but those are all thoughts. The feeling is, ouch. We know how to spell ouch. I got a big ouchie. You know, I got an ouchie here, I got an ouchie in my feet, I got an ouchie in my hands, I got an ouchie in my brain. We know how to spell all that, but we don't know how to spell the and that's what we want to describe. And we can't seem to find the right words ever to fully describe our pain, any more than we can fully describe our joy. Well, there's two reasons for that. The pain is temporary, based on a temporary thought. And the joy is so big, there aren't words to describe it. Love is so enormous, there aren't enough words to describe it. That which God is just not describable. That's why we have the word God. Myrtle Fillmore, in her book, How to Let God Help You, available in our bookstore, has this thing today, and it's on illumination, which is light. And she says, anything which does not measure up to the Christ pattern of perfection can be changed. And what is the Christ pattern? It is that anointing. It is that remembering. And remember, it has nothing to do with Jesus. It has to do with what they felt Jesus did. It's that Christ alignment. The full alignment of the 12 divine mind faculties, the alignment of all of the intelligence within our body. But she says, anything which does not measure up to the Christ pattern of perfection can be changed. Anything which the idea of God-mind expressing in the mind of humanity has not produced can be dissolved into the original nothingness by the understanding application of the power of spiritual thought and the resultant spiritual action. Whatever the cause, we know that the change in consciousness and in living habits which the truth reveals will relieve, renew, restore, and make one entirely free. No one who has awakened spiritually and is seeing his or her threefold being in the light of truth speaks of dis-ease as something of itself. He or she ceases to think even of the name the doctors give to the condition. The truth student casts out and forgets the untrue assumption that this condition could not be changed and done away with utterly, just as you would refuse to hold and to think of some unworthy or untrue thing you might hear spoken as you walk down the street. Now, in case you didn't know what someone who comes to Unity is called, we're called truth students. We're not Unitarians. That's a whole different church. It's a whole different form of worship and practice. We are called truth students. We are seeking the truth. We don't know the truth to go out and espouse it. You can only know the truth from within. Truth that I'm talking about, capital T, has no story. It has no description. It's too big to describe. It is a practice. It is a way of thinking in. It is a being in. It is applying divine principle to everything. You'd have to desire, though, to experience divine principle in everything. Seek ye understanding of the law. Seek ye understanding of the health laws. Seek ye understanding of the wealth laws. Seek ye understanding of the harmony laws. Seek ye understanding. We've got lots of books over there that point the way. There's lots on the internet that point the way. It's going to cost you something, though. It's going to cost you your lack. Knowing the truth will cost you your bondage. Knowing the truth is going to cost you every resentment and grievance you have. It means they're going to get away with it. Could you bear it if you were free? Could you bear it that it doesn't matter one bit what anyone has ever done to you? It doesn't matter one bit in truth. I understand. On this physical level, it matters a lot. But in truth, let me tell you something. When we're all dead and gone, who cares? If we're suddenly attacked from outer space, who cares that somebody snubbed me today? Who cares about my last divorce? 2 divorces, 3 divorces, whatever. Who cares? Who cares how much money I have if nobody is, if we're making money today, who cares? And let me tell you something else. If I am free today, if I'm free and I know that every need I have is met, what does it matter who seems to like me and who seems to not like me? speaking with someone the other day who talked about hate, and I said, hate is not a reality. Hate is a temporary condition based on a temporary perception. Nobody actually hates. Nobody actually hates. It's just something we use to describe our fear and our unwillingness to see love. It is something we use to describe our own personal unwillingness to be loved. If I knew I were loved all the time, oh man, I would set you guys free to just be however you want to be. If I knew I was loved all the time, my goodness, would David's life be easier. If I knew I were loved all the time, boy, I'd have let my mother off the hook a lot sooner than I did, and my dad off the hook. If I knew I were loved, I'd have let all my teachers and all my ministers and anybody who seemed to have made a mistake off the hook a lot sooner than I have. If I knew I were loved, I wouldn't have to be upset anymore. If I knew I were loved. Because you see, love is the truth. And love does not change. If you don't know what that means, you must learn about love. You must find out what love is. Because I guarantee us, and it's the reason I keep coming back to unity, to spirituality, to my books, to prayer, to meditation, to journaling, because I need constant reminders that I am loved. Not necessarily by the egoic people, but by the universe, but by what I call God, by what I call the floor and the ceiling and the walls and you guys. What I call God. You see, in the truth of my being, I am all that I will ever be. I might expand and have more gains, but I'm already all the good that I could ever be. I'm not less than good. I'm not less than love. I am not less than truth. I am not less than wisdom. I am not less than power. I am not less than that which God is. So I recommend to each and every one of us here today to explore what you think God is. And if God is less than good, get a new God. Don't have anything less than the best God you can have. Congratulations.